Hey everybody, welcome back to Investing with Wesley. What if I told you that after 15 years you could stop working as hard as you work today and still collect close to the same paycheck, only this paycheck is completely passive? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, I'm going to give you one surefire way to make that possible using what's called a dividend ladder. Let's get into it. Okay, so for starters, what is a dividend ladder? Well, a dividend ladder is basically just a fancy term for collecting dividends every month of the year and then using those dividends to reinvest to grow the dividend amount you'll be receiving until your investment value reaches to a point where you could live off the dividends. Now, that's the traditional definition of a dividend ladder. There's also a kind of new form of dividend ladder where you invest your money into safe, good companies that produce a dividend, and then instead of using those dividends to reinvest into those companies, you use those dividends to reinvest into more aggressive, high growth companies to supplement the gains that you could receive on this side. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the traditional dividend ladder and give you some really good stock picks that you could choose to set your own ladder up. Now, when you're trying to set up this dividend ladder, you want dividends that are actually going to be worthwhile. You don't want any 1 or 2% dividends. You want a really high dividend to make this whole journey worthwhile. But the problem is when you start seeking extremely high dividend yields, you often end up in either one of two sectors. You either end up in REITs or BDCs. Now, the problem with putting your money into REITs or BDCs exclusively is that you're putting all your eggs in one basket strictly for a high dividend yield. The problem with searching for high dividend yields is that you could set yourself up for failure later. A good example is with REITs. In order for a company to get its tax benefits of having a REIT, the REIT has to give 90% of its earnings away in the form of dividends. That's why those dividends are so high. But the problem is when you give all of your income out, there's no income left for you to keep and grow your company. So often over time, the price per share of the REITs goes down because the company's holdings go down as well. And not only that, but if something happens in the real estate market, you could see your entire portfolio go away overnight. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, Wes, how do we avoid REITs and BDCs while still getting a really good dividend yield to make this ladder even worth it? Well, I'm not saying we don't put our money in REITs or BDCs at all. I'm just saying we don't put our money exclusively there. We also want to search for really good dividend stocks as well. Ones with a higher yield than the market, but also ones with a regular corporate structure. We're looking for a dividend in between 4 and 6%. They're just high enough to actually make it worthwhile, but also just low enough to where we know the company is keeping some of the money for themselves to continuously grow that company. So I created this example dividend ladder portfolio that you could use to kind of cross-reference with your own portfolio and see how well it pans out. This example portfolio consists of 5 companies that average a 6% dividend, as well as average 24% gain over the decade. So these 5 companies are as follows. The first one is Arbor Realty Trust. This isn't a REIT, this is just a company that invests in real estate. The next one is Main Street Capital, which is a BDC, a business developmental company. The next 3 are Alliance Bernstein, One Main Holdings, and Progressive Auto Insurance, the company. Now, like I already said, Arbor invests in real estate, and Main Street is a business development company. But the other 3 spread out your eggs into other baskets, preventing that total loss scenario. Alliance Bernstein is a wealth management company, Progressive is an insurance company, and One Main Holdings is a consumer lender company. So you're pretty diversified across a broad range of markets. You're not all trapped in real estates or BDCs. Arbor gives you a 7.7 dividend. Main Street gives you a 6% dividend. Alliance Bernstein gives you a 7% dividend. And One Main gives you a 4.8% dividend. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Progressive, why would you invest in that? Their dividend isn't even 1%. And that's true if you look them up on any stock tracker. Their regular dividend is nothing. However, once a year, they give out a special dividend, which equates to about 5%. Just like I said, averaging all these dividends together inside this portfolio gives you an average dividend yield of 6.1%. And this is just the start. If you've paid attention to one of my option videos in the past, you know there's an option contract out there called selling covered calls. And if used properly, what this can do is increase your annual dividend amount that much more. Now, this will work without messing with options whatsoever, but if you're knowledgeable enough and know what you're doing, you can of course increase your dividends even more with selling covered calls. But let's talk about replacing that income in a passive manner that I mentioned in the start of this video. Exactly how much money are we going to need in this portfolio in order to replace that income? Well, just for example purposes, I put the income at $3,000 a month. Now, factoring in a 6% dividend means we'll have to have at least $600,000 in this portfolio in order to live and collect $3,000 a month off of dividends. But assuming that 24% over the past 10 years, as well as that 6% dividend reinvested, I came up with a solution on getting you as close to $600,000 as soon as possible that you might be interested in. It starts off with you investing $500 per month into this portfolio for the first 4 years. And then after that 4-year period, you raise your investment amount to $750 per month. And you do that for another 4 years. After your first 8 years, you then increase your investment contributions once again to a total of $1,000 per month. You do this for 7 more years for a total of 15 years, and your investment amount with dividends reinvested will be just shy of $600,000. Now, I chose to do this tiered option as opposed to any other option out there because a lot of people don't want to commit to $750 to $1,000 per month into an investment right out the gate. So $500 a month for the first 4 years should be easy to people who aren't living paycheck to paycheck and manage their money well. Then after 4 years, you could start to see those dividends, you could start to see the growth, and you'll feel comfortable increasing. Plus, it gives you those 4 years to increase your income that much more so that you can support that raised investment amount. Now, obviously, this sounds way easier said than done. I get it. And I also want to point out that not every dividend ladder is perfect. A big flaw with this dividend ladder example is that you won't receive monthly income equally. Some months you'll receive more, some months you'll receive less. And this is because Main Street is the only company that pays a consistent monthly dividend. Progressive, as I mentioned, only pays an annual 5% dividend. You get it once a year in January. Arbor and Alliance only get it February, May, August, and November, whereas OneMain will give it to you March, June, September, and December. So if you spread that out across the calendar, you'll see that April, July, and October, you'll be receiving less dividends than any other month. Now, of course, if you're using this strategy to live off your dividends, you can always budget and save some dividends from earlier months to cover your bills across evenly. But still, I just wanted to point out that not every dividend ladder is going to be perfect with perfect monthly income that's spread out equal. The whole point of a dividend ladder, however, is to pick stocks that will still grow, pay a 4 to 6% dividend or greater if they can support those dividend yields, and pay you monthly. Most dividend companies will only pay you annually or quarterly, so finding companies that pay you on different quarters and different months is the real key to success. I hope you got value from this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. I hope I inspired you to start your own dividend ladder as well. If you ever had a question, comment, want something addressed, or even wanted to recommend a topic for a later video, message me on my dedicated Facebook or Instagram account. I don't post there too often, but I'm on there scrolling pretty much every day, so that would be a great place to reach me. Either way though, the choice is yours, and I'll see you in the next episode.